Hello, everybody. Let's see, get this a little bit lower. So you can't quite see it. There we go. Welcome to a new live stream. We have unified 4 libraries this week. Oh my gosh. Let's add some of these to it. Let's add the intimate strings to this. It'll take a minute for it to load, I'm sure. So we're gonna have strings come in. There they are. So one of the libraries we unified, actually it's not even a library, it's a synthesizer plugin. No, it's not. I gotta wake up. The TX816 is a very, very famous synthesizer from Yamaha hardware. That was this box you see in this image here that had 8 separate DX7s. And back in the day, I couldn't afford a TX816, so I bought a TX216, which had 2 DX7s, and that was still, gosh, I think close to $2,000. The full TX816, I think, was around $5,000. Hi, everybody. Checking the stream to see, and there you are. Good to see you all. So, anyway, so I have tried a couple of times and actually had a couple other PlugInGuru customers work with me a little bit because I never owned a TX816. So I was never totally sure of the patches, of how it sounded. And I was contacted by one of our customers named Bert, who goes by the name Zimp in our forums. And he owns a TX816, and he'd actually made a sound diver preset library for it. He knew it very well. And he set up and made the patches initially. I took them a little bit farther, finalized them so that these are them. These are the factory patches you found 38 years ago on a TX816. And we're doing it in Unify. As you can see, it's calling up. Here, let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see all 8 of the DX plugins playing at once that are making this amazing string sound. It works. And look at the CPU usage. Because it's being spread across the processors for each layer, I'm playing 8 different DX7 patches that are each 6 oscillators. So that's 48 oscillators playing. Plus reverb and 3 additional mastering effects just to sweeten it. And I'm using Klangfalter in some cases, like the church organ, because I wanted to sound. And I went a little soft on the reverb. Right here, as you can see, there's real-time knobs for originally when Bert sent these to me. By the way, shout out to Bert. If he's here, Zimp, are you here? Shout out to Bert. He watches, but he's in the background, he said. So he sent these to me, and originally these were set up so that this was a modulation wheel, this was breath controller, and this was foot controller. That's what those our default 1, 2, and 4 MIDI CCs are set to. But because of the way DX worked, I would change the volume and I would save the patch. And if you look inside of DX, there's a parameter assignment page where you can click to turn on and give it an intensity for each of these different parts of MIDI that it would listen to, right? And so I went through the steps of turning it off, and then inside of Unify on the macro knobs, it's very easy to use a parameter inside of DX. Go to Instrument, each module, DX, Output, which controls the output internally of the plugin. So it's doing the same thing as what the real-time controller was doing. So I use that on all these so that this way I can call these up and it's mixed. But if you go down here, this is one where they're all on one, but when you get to some of these, like the full orchestra, the strings are on a separate volume, trombones are on a separate volume, and the timpani, which if you turn those down, you just have trumpets in a limited range. So you kind of want to have at least the trombones with them. Here's the strings. So they are all there. I had to go through every single layer of every one of the patches. In some cases like this, I used our fade on our key zones. If you hold down Control and Option, you can change this fade. It's velocity based. It's not volume based. So it's scaling the velocity over the keyboard range so that the sound has to respond to velocity for the fade to work. But because they're using that, I sweetened these just a little bit. It's not a like 100% legit, like it's not, I made them a little bit better than what they would have been from the, it was one of those things you got to realize. Here, let me find a picture. If I go over here, Yamaha. I'm a little sniffy today. I apologize if I sniff. I usually am not, but sometimes you just are, right? Anyway, here it is. In all of its glory, it was 8 separate little slots, and you could buy it with all 8 filled or only 2 filled, and then 8 blank, or 6 of them have just a metal sheet up, and then as you bought separate modules, you could add them. And so I'd planned to add more. I had my original DX7, which is over here, and I had this. So I had 3 DX7s, but I didn't have 8. If you check prices, you can find them used, but to make these work, these each they're XLR outputs on the back, by the way. It's not a 1/4-inch output. They were noisy, so when you had all 8 of these up, even 2 up was noisy. You would have to set your mix, and then you would change each one of these to say 3, 4, 5, 6 for all 8. And then what you would get would hopefully be what you hear. But the panning wasn't set, the volumes weren't set, any of that stuff. So for this, I've been able to do some things that you couldn't do very easily. Each one of these, if you go to the electric pianos, I have by hand edited the velocity curves for each of the modules so that they each have the curve that I felt was optimized for that sound to play. So but it sounds great. And to think someone sat, I think more than one. I think Bo Tomlin was part of the team. I got to meet and work with Bo a little bit. He was a friend of mine for a number of years. He got into real estate. I think he lives in Colorado. By far one of the most talented FM synthesis programmers back in the day. What I actually was blessed in that I got to go to the, here, let me bring this down a little bit so you can make sure you can see all the interface. I'm kind of there. Can't see the keyboard, but you get to see all the modules. When the DX7 was introduced, I was invited, well, my mom's store, my mom and dad owned a music store in Eastern Oregon, in Ontario, Oregon, called, at the time, Frontier Music. Went on to become named Trendsetters. It has since defaulted and isn't there anymore. But when it was Frontier Music, the DX7 came out, and God bless my mom and dad, they said, you should go. They're introducing it in Portland, Oregon, which is 380 miles away from Ontario. And they asked the piano tuner, Leon Gravitt, to drive me all the way to Portland. And then the two of us learned about FM synthesis. The piano tuner of my mom and dad's music store sat for 3 days at the Red Lion in North Portland, and we learned about FM and programming. And I cut my teeth learning FM synthesis. I had a Mini Moog at home. I didn't know what I was doing with it at the time. I was just playing and making weird sounds with it. But I started with FM and seeing it and being introduced. But just think about it. There's 8 modules. And for something like this, they probably, because there's basically 3 different groups. You have these knobs here for the body, the top, and then the standard. But if you solo each of these, there's 2 for kind of the rubbery element. And I edited, if you open up DX, there's a trick with the DX7 where the release level for number 4, you could bring that up really loud. And with a really fast envelope, it would be a key off sound. I edited it down a little bit from where it was originally. It was just a little bit too much in your face. They were really, at the time, I think, trying to really show that that was a unique thing. But like, so these 2, you could even pan these a little bit. Now, I should point out, this is a free library I'm showing. There's a link in the video description. You only need Unify for this to work. We included inside of Unify is DX, which is this wonderful free DX7 plugin that you can find for free on the internet. We got permission to include it in Unify. And so it's there. You don't need anything else to recreate this $5,000 8 DX7. And then these other, let's see if we mute these so you can hear what everybody else is doing. Let's mute these 4. Then the top volume. And all the detail, if you listen to that slight detuning that's happening, that would be too much by itself. But when you combine it with that, and then all of these 4 layers on top, it all of a sudden becomes, and there's no breathing. It used to sound like a dragon. It was so loud when you had all 8 modules. Now, if you're playing on a weighted keyboard, I just want to point out, you can go over here to our settings, to the velocity curve, click and bump it up just a little bit if you want it to play and not be quite so marshmallowy. Because I'm using a lightweight synth keyboard, this will make it respond, and this is global, so that this would be for all the patches. You can set the touch to be less squishy, because lightweight keys typically get exaggerated on weighted keys, so you can go that way if you want. So, 8 DX7, TX816, factory patches. The choir is interesting. And the TX816, just think about this, came out 38 years ago. So, to have these sounds back is great. It's really wonderful to... This is the patch I fixed, by the way. If you originally download the library prior to the live stream, just before the live stream, I got an email from a customer that said, hey, 3, 4, 5, and 6 modules don't make any sound on this patch. And he was right, because I had forgotten on this parameter page to turn off the foot parameter for 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I turned those off. I had already set up the knobs, but that assignment supersedes the knobs. See how I have this? I'll show you a cool trick, by the way. If you have something like this where you have a number of modules, and I assigned number 3 layer, and I need to do the same setting for 4, 5, and 6, you can easily use duplicate to duplicate the actual assignment, and then just go over here to each of the layers, double click, change this to layer 4, double click, changes to layer 5, double click to changes to layer 6. You can type in assignments. You don't have to go through the retargeting or like this to find each module, each DX, and then go to the output for each one. Once you have one, if you need to use this for multiple layers, like auxiliary sends, if I wanted all these auxiliary sends, which you'll find over here on this knob right here, right? They're all set up. I just need to do one, duplicate it 7 more times, and double click and change the layer for each one of these to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I have one macro knob that's changing the auxiliary bus or reverb. If you don't want reverb, bring auxiliary to 0. If you want reverb, pretty cool, and it's free. We have it. If you don't get it in this live stream and you are watching after this live stream, you can go to plugin. Let me log out. I've been in administration mode, so let me sign out real quick. Go here, log out. You can go to PlugInGuru. We have our winter go away sale has started. So you can, so here where it says, see this, oh, not that one. That's for the Mega Magic keys, which is a wonderful library to combine with this. I can show you. If you click the winter go away sale, that will take you to a promotion page. I will add more libraries. I'm not quite up to 20 libraries for sale for it yet. But anyway, you go to the standard Unify plugin page. You scroll down the list, and right here is where we start our unified libraries. And I need to change the number because it's more than 41 now. But right there is TX816. You only need Unify to play. That means you only need Unify, and then you would click. You'll go to our Dropbox account, which I don't want to kind of show you because I'm logged in. But you would download this. Let's say I'm going to go through the process just to show you how easy this is. If you've never done this before, it's really easy. Download. So here it is. Double click to unzip. Even if you already installed it and you want to install the updated version, you can simply drag over. So here's the .guru file. There's 2 ways to get this into Unify. For a lot of people, this works. For some people, it doesn't. You can drag over the interface of Unify. Unify picks up that it's a .guru file and goes, hey, you want me to install this? And you say, okay, boom, done. So do a quick patch, rebuild, and there it is. Just like that. Then you would go up here to the top and you would say, instead of all libraries, like it says normally, where you click where it says all libraries, you'll have just probably Unify Standard Library and some other libraries, maybe if you've been doing this. But down here, you'll see Unified TX816 library, and here they are. Now you can call up these wonderful sounds. I will point out there's one called Electric Piano Strings Brass Mix. This one on purpose has the other 6 modules silent because this is the electric piano on literally thousands of pop songs. It's just 2 DX7s panned. that is the sound. So I didn't want to spoil that. But bring up the brass and the strings and bells. And now you have this really cool different sound. But I didn't want it to do that by default. I wanted this. So there are a couple cases where you won't hear things. Also, when you get to these zines that say seek, this is because they're set for sequencing. And so I set these up. Originally, they were playing all 8 modules, and that just sounded like, yeah. So this one here, typically the first 2 modules, I think this is one Sting used on his pop song, that one. But then the other modules you see, I have assigned to different MIDI channels. So you would need to change your MIDI channel inside of your DAW or your keyboard controller if you want to get access to, let's see, let me mute. These guys are set to all. I should have set them to 1, but I didn't. If you set these to 1, then they won't play. Here's 2, 3. 8 always has some sort of a, let's see, what? Oh, 7, because the number 1 is like a percussion or a drum or something really interesting to work with. So these is a seek. Be aware, sounds are silent. If you look over here, you'll see they're assigned to different MIDI channels. And different cases, some of them, there's 2 of them, like here. This is designed, see how it pans from the left to the right and back? That's because there's really slow envelopes on layer 2. So don't freak out when you first play this and it's soft on the second layer. Just hold it down. They're designed in different ways. This is one where, let me change, in this case, I would probably want, I should have set this to me. Make sure, I'll probably go back and fix this. No, because you guys use different MIDI channels sometimes to talk to the patches. And so we like to have the first layer set at 1. If you're going to use this in a sequencing environment, you want to set those set to MIDI channel all. That means it's listening to all 16 MIDI channels. Change it to MIDI channel 1. But let's see, there was one I wanted to show you that was really cool. Is it the jazz orchestra split? And this I added a loudness. My secret tool, take this to that. Oh, we found another one that I broke, that I didn't fix. See how the brass, if we call this up, these brass, they're supposed to be playing. So here's what you have to do. I'm going to do this real time with you guys. It's set to foot controller. Turn it off. That's what you have to do. And do that to each of these 4 modules. So go parameters, foot controller off. Here, foot controller off. Doing a little fun programming together. Isn't that fun? Foot controller, turn it off. And then let me look to make sure that I set up 1, 2. I think there's supposed to be some brass by default. And then you want more. Wait, let's see. Actually, I want them all to be there because there's a flute. Let's do this. Let's make 1, 2. So we need to duplicate this. I'm making executive decisions on this library as we go. 1, 2, 3. And duplicate layer 4. Because, oh, see, I messed up. So I'm going to copy from above. Paste. Just like a text editor, and change this to 4. Oop, 34. There. All right. So now, because there's a flute, I wanted to start. I'm not sure exactly how to get. I tried to figure out the intensity parameters to get that to work to the knob and be saved, and I can't get it to work. So the flute is soft to start. But then you use the mod wheel. I'm going to save it that way because this way you can bring in the brass when you want for them. And then turn them back down. Right? So we'll have those down. Just a little saxophone. It's over here on. What do you think? Let's have a decision with the group. Do you guys think we should have the saxophone added or should just be flute when you call it up? Should be this or a little sax. Never hurts to have a little sax, right? What do you think? More sax. All right, we'll put it at 50%. Just use your modulation wheel to get the flute. And that flute, let's add a little more air to this just for fun. So we're going to go Flex EQ. Now, the way our EQ works, the Flex EQ is the coolest EQ. Nobody else really does one quite like this. The two middle EQs are parametrics. The top and the bottom are shelves. So I'm going to use what this means is shelf means that from this frequency up, it EQs, and the low shelf means that from this frequency down, it EQs. So I'm going to set the shelf at about like maybe 3K. Oh, a little higher. I just want to give it some. It's fairly subtle in my 64 audio in-ear monitors that I love to death. Adds a little bit more to it. So very sexy. More cowbell. Thank you, Larry. It's just so cool. I love FM. FM is its own unique sound. It works really, really well. I'm going to save this as it is. And now, thanks to assigning the knobs and doing all that work, it works the way I want. So after the live stream, I'm not going to go through the process of making the unified library in the live stream because that's just slow and boring. But I will update this library one more time. As you saw, all you have to do, if you want to do this yourself, is go to the parameters and turn off the foot control light for all 4 modules. And if you want, you can go to the brass and add 3 and 4 outputs if you want to control all the brass. Otherwise, some of the brass are going to sound when you call up the patch. That's kind of what I did for the last 3 days. That and then assigning the effects and all that stuff. So, but anyway, it was worth the effort. Check this out. So if we go to the strings, actually, we'll wrap around to this. I'm going to show you, we've got 3 other libraries we have unified this week. This has been a busy unification week. So there. Yes. Well, you guys are talking in the forums about VST versus VST3. If you're having issues with Unify in your DAW, and it can work with VST2 and VST3, cycle between the two. Some DAWs like the VST3 version of Unify better than the VST2. Some DAWs prefer the VST2 version versus the VST3 version. That's why we released it as all formats, because different DAWs are, I'll tell you, man, plugin development is the wild west of music technology, because there is very little documentation on some of this stuff. Shane has had to be Sherlock Holmes way more often than he should have to be with all sorts of situations to solve problems, because there's no documentation. And they'll go ask on the Juice forums and get answers from people that are wrong. And I mean, it's wild, wild west. So we do our best to be compatible with as many things as we can. We've come a long ways. We're over 2 years old now. We released Unify 2 years ago. And right now, I mean, this is just a small, like half of the libraries available. This is, right now, I am accessing 12,760 patches inside of just this set of patches. And this is like less than half of what is available. So it's pretty huge. Of the other libraries that we've unified, I'm going to show you Airwave Volume 1 first, and then we'll look at the 2 Spitfire Audio. By far, Spitfire Audio Intimate Strings, I think most everybody that hears this is going to one. What's patch 15 supposed to sound like? Oh, let's play patch 15. Some of these, I will tell you, some of these are crazy, funny. Guitar oboe. Oh, this is one I didn't even really work on. I missed this one, I think. Okay, I'll have to fix 15 because it calls up with just an oboe. See, this is this problem that all the patches were this way. They'd call up like this. So there's guitar, and the velocity is wrong, right? So you go to the velocity curves. I want it to be a little bit more expressive, right? Because this is like the bright bite of the guitar. Now, I don't know if I would have, well, that's not bad. Maybe a little bit less stereo width. An oboe. And the oboe is here. So we'll call this oboe let volume. O-B-O-E. Sorry, I missed this one. I totally missed this one. I did plug special. I spent a lot of time because this is a really bright, crazy one. No, I didn't spend a lot of time on that one either. There's another one. Oh, Pretty Power. This one was... That's when I spent a lot of time on it. Okay, so there's a few things to fix. So I'll fix the guitar and oboe strings because it calls up like this. So I'll put a little heart that I need to fix that. That'll be fixed in an hour after the, well, I have a Zoom thing happening after this live stream. So later today, I will fix it. By tomorrow, you can download the updated version, okay? All the other patches work. Thanks for pointing that out. When you're this close to them, sometimes you miss details because there's an awful lot of editing for these. But a lot of really cool stuff. That's so fun. Some of these were fun to play with. Also below this, Bert created some of his own favorite and these I left as is because this is Bert's wonderful creations. So after 32, these are bonus. And a couple things I can point out. The DX, hear that clicking? I'm not a big fan of that clicking. you can go into DX, and on the parameter page, there are actually 3 different models, 3 different FM algorithms it can use. The OPL is based on the OP1 FM synthesis. It's a kind of what they call their experimental FM. Modern 24 puts it into 24-bit mode, and hear this clicking? It's gone. It's a little bit softer on the attack, but I'd prefer that more than a DC click. Here's another one where I hear that click. So if you go into the parameter page, and instead of the Mark I, which is modeled right off, it's as close to a DX7 as they could get, you can get rid of the clicking. And sometimes removing it from some things, but keeping it on others. I'm still not a big fan. So I would go in, I would change these also. This is what I did this week. 3 and 4. Set this to the 24-bit model. As you can hear, these are still clicking. If I spent the time, well, here, let's just do it. Rock and roll. This is a live stream. This is what you do in a live stream. You just have fun, hang out, and show you what you can do with Unify. And this is one of the things you can do with Unify. Let's see, are these last 2? Yes, they also have the click. So once I set all 8 of these to the 24-bit engine instead of the 12-bit DX7 engine, there's no longer DC click. I love that so much better than, well, here, let's do this. I'm in Logic, so I can go copy. Here's call it back up and listen to the original. And paste. Yeah, so I'm going to option click save. That will update the patch. Anytime with unified libraries that you edit a patch, you can go to the save page and click update, or you can hold down option alt and hit save, and that is a quick way to save. By the way, you can do the option save in Serum as well to quick save. I asked Steve Duda way back in the day to incorporate and add that to Serum, so he did. But these are Bert's patches, and the cool thing with DX is each of these 8 you can open up. You can hit the cart button, and here's those 8 patches. This is the cartridge. 32 patches that are here. He used Calypso, right? So if you wait, close that. If you go to the cart, you'll see Calypso is here. I'm not wearing my good glasses, so I can't read, but it should be here somewhere, right? I don't see Calypso. Interesting. Well, there is 32 patches here. I'm going to wear these glasses because these are my prescription glasses. I can see a little bit better. These get fogged up though, so wow. Anyway, but each of these DX modules has a cartridge of patches available. It looks like he used the same cartridge for these, but he sent over Marimba 17 isn't. He's got Sound Diver. He probably sent over patches. I don't know how he did that, but anyway, there is a cartridge of patches. Every one of these libraries, every patch, if you go even to strings and open this up, you'll see that this is containing each of the, I keep clicking that button because I'm so used to doing that. Over here is the .1. That's for module number 1. If you open up the second one and open this up, it's .2, because this was the patches for, I can't wear this because they fog up. Module number 2, and so forth for all 8. That's how we have the factory patches. It's actually 8 different sysx files of 32 patches, and you'd set them all to 8 for the piano, or 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for this slot right here, and that would equal the TX816. So that's how we were able to get these in. So anyway, these are bonus patches at the end of the list. that he created. Thank you again, Bert, for doing this. It's pretty cool. Yes, all 8 banks. When you go to these factory patches, when you go to cellos and you open this up, you'll notice it says cello 7.1, cello 7.2, cello 7.3. They are separate. It's not 8 of the same patch. It's 8 separate patches that each incorporate different qualities, tunings, frequencies, elements of a sound. You can solo each one of these. And if you right click on solo, we have a cool ability where it will turn off solo on another module. So you can just go down the list, hit right click. They sound kind of not that great by themselves, right? Right? It's like, well, that's got all that motion. But unsolo everything, it's like, whoa! And just for fun, let's go to Chorus Station, which is using the BBC Symphony Orchestra. Let's go strings. Let's go to some, let's say, Spitzicato. Right click, load into Unify as a new layer, and we are now doing things you can't do in any other plugin. We're loading patches. Any of the patches in this list can be loaded into this existing patch. So I have loaded up this Unify layer, which has 5 other plugins in it that is doing the BBC Orchestra. And then hold down Option, turn everybody down, and then turn back up the strings. And you can play with the mix, get it maybe a little bit louder, and then double click to put this back at 0. So you can, and you can try other things, like say, let's go to like the longs, and instead of the cellos, we'll call it. So it'll take a second to load. This is the BBC Symphony Orchestra core. This is from Chorus Station, so it's the medium. There's Discover, which is $50. There's Core, which is, I believe, $449 or something like that, and then the Pro version, which is $999. Wonderful, wonderful strings. In Unify, I can load up all 5 patches of the basses, cellos, violas, violins 1, violin 2, map it across the keyboard. So I'm playing them all together. That's just one of our wonderful things in Unify that we do. And this library takes that, the BBC Symphony Orchestra library, and just makes it so much more useful. Let's go to the TX816. And I'm going to change this. Instead of right-clicking, I'm going to say load embedded. So whatever I click is just going to be loaded as a new Unify layer. Strings. And let's get the mix right. And that FM now adds this really cool bite. When you find the right mix, and because we can, and because of how wonderful the world is with Unify, let's go down here to the strings and let's add staccato. Boom. As a new layer, we've now added 2 string orchestras, but one's kind of doing one duty and one's doing another. So we can... But that FM in there take it out. It's nice. It's different frequencies than the samples. So you can play with combining these. Here, let's really go crazy. Let's go to Zebra and say string and see if there's any strings, fluttery strings. We're at load embedded. So let's say comb strings, and we've now added Zebra. Boom. That is why we love Unify, because now that can be your core for your this big epic film moment has this. And you've got FM, attack strings, body strings, and Zebra. And my computer's just going, blah, blah, blah. This is fun. While I'm also streaming a high definition live stream. So there. So that is pretty fun. Okay. So the DX7 TX816 library is really fun. Also this week, Taylor finished his it's a long journey to do this. It's an awful lot of work. We now have unified Airwave Volume 1. It's one of those mountains we wanted to climb. We're working on Airwave Volume 2, which will be out soon. Let me get these back on. Help me see a little bit better. And we're going to shift gears really hard and go into trance, dance, EDM land. This is so much fun. My gosh. In Unify, because you can load, as I just showed you, patches. Maybe I should save that. Let's do this. Let's go. One cool thing that we have is if you right click on revert, it keeps track of everything that you've changed. If you've made an edited patch and changed patches, we automatically save it. So I can actually click here. If you happen to own Core Station, Hans Zimmer's Zebra, I will give you this patch. So go save. We're going to save this into the user library strings. And we'll call this core or BBC core dash Zebra dash TX816 Nirvana. Save as. And then save. And let's go over here. You need to own these plugins for this to work. Just a heads up. When I do these things, sorry if it makes you buy stuff that you don't have. I will tell you the Hans Zimmer Zebra 2 library is one of the, it's one of those Chopin Bach moments in synthesis, in my opinion. It is a wonderful library. You will not be sorry, especially if you're into cinematics, because it was a library done for the Hans Zimmer Batman Returns library. So if I go over here and I'm going to go to my Dropbox, and I'll give you a link in just a second, and you can be playing this because that's what we like to do in these live streams. Unified, let's see, where's my PlugInGuru freebies? Unify libraries. Oh, right here. Freebie Unify patches. I'm going to copy this over and copy the Dropbox link and paste. There it is. And I'll put it here. I'll put it in the video chat. BBC. Oh, here, I'm going to do it this way because I'm lazy. So I'm going to go like this. Copy, cancel, and say Oh, please show your keyboard. Well, I can go to that now that I'm done with. I wanted to show Alt DX7s. So anyway, I'm going to paste this bonus patch. I'm putting it in the video description as well, so you can download it from there. So go over here. Oh, that's there. So I need to go back to Dropbox, and here I can do it this way. I can go. I know everybody likes to see the keyboard when I'm playing things. PlugInGuru freebies. Get back to that patch. Copy the Dropbox link and paste. Save. So it's in the video description as well for this video. You too can I'm playing a 4-note octave. And again, you can go to the different elements. If I need more FM, just turn it up. Oh, I'm not showing the keyboard. So let's shrink. There's the keyboard. Okay, so that is a free patch made for you using the, the powers of Unify. And 2 other plugins are required, the BBC Symphony Orchestra Core, not Discover Station, although it might work with Discover Station, I don't know. It's calling up the BBC Symphony Orchestra plugin, so it might work with the Discover. If someone wants to check, let us know. But it's designed for Core, which is a little bit more robust, more samples, round robin. It's worth the money to go for the Core station. Next up, I was going to show you Airwave. So let's shift gears one more time. It has an extension. I will patch this with VSL and Contact. You can do that. Go for it. Airwave Volume 1 is a library that blew my mind when Laurent sent this to me. Laurent Veronez is a DJ from Belgium and just a wonderful person. And we started our business relationship almost 10 years ago, I think, 8 years ago. And he said, I've been working on a library, and I think it might be cool to work with you to release it. It's really hard to get exposure when you're just starting out. And so he sent it to me, and it just completely blew my mind what he was doing. And these are trance, EDM, dance type basses. This requires Omnisphere, so you need to own Omnisphere 2 for this library to work. The library is for Omnisphere, and then these are the Unify patches. It's just the patches for Omnisphere now unified. And you might go, well, why? What's good about that? I could use my DAW and do that kind of thing really easily. Well, when you go to load embedded, and now you can choose all these different patches, just like that, to layer them, and you get into all these like cool chords and transdicers, and you can do this in real time. It's nuts, totally nuts. This is 6 patches from this library playing one note. just the fact you can change this back to load patch, start with a kick. It's gonna, oh, that's cool. Now change this to load embedded, and anything I click in this library of 218 patches, including multis or patches, I can load. Let's see what we get. So, anywhere you go, anything you load is like golden fun. It's just like you can't go wrong with just calling it. Let's add a multi to this. Change this to load embedded and say today is forever, because I know this one. You can have so much fun. Days can literally disappear. Nuts. And this is part of when I showed you the website, and we go PlugInGuru. If you don't have this library, you own Omnisphere. If you go to the Winter Go Away sale, it is $15 off, as are all the other libraries that you see on this page. So you can go to Airwave Volume 1, and it's only $24 instead of $39 until February 1st. So this is a library everybody that owns Omnisphere should own, because it truly was one that blew everybody away when he released this. These multis that have the signature air brakes. This is all synthesis you're hearing. No samples. Some of these multis get really kind of heavy on. Open this up. It's 8 parts going crazy. Now, this would be a good one to go down here, say load embedded. Let's scroll in the library. In fact, this was fun. This is why Unify is so cool. Let's go to Brazil, and let's go to BPM basses. This is why we spend all this time. Actually, I think here it's ARP. So if we go bass, it should show me, oh, here we go, BPM basses. So if I click on Giant Knarr's bass, let's go to Zebra 2, and let's say Craft. We haven't had a tonda in a while. That was a tonda. I don't know what happened there, but anyway, that can happen. Doesn't happen often, but we found. So I didn't even get a warning about what happened. So I mean, this is pushing computer pretty hard just to play this one Omnisphere multi. So that's the thing with some of these. When you see the multis, some of these are going to say light next to the bigger Bro Step, which isn't light and is doing more things that are pulling up all sorts of things. Some of these get really carried away with what it's doing. The processor's definitely working it. But what is going on in this one multi is just insanity. If you take some time, this is one of these libraries that you can learn all sorts of things from, because each one of these sounds, Laurent is just a master at that's in the mix. And it just becomes this component, right? It's huge kick. 100% synthesis. A waveform and a stinger sound, which he's using for the high-end attack. And then you can go through and change the tuning of the, and you're controlling the sound of the, like the components of the kick drum. I mean, it's just, I learned a lot when I went through this library. The things that are happening just in those 3 patches, let alone 8, it's great. So it's a wonderful library. The multis, some of them will take your computer and make it beg for mercy. Make sure we're back down here on Airwave Volume 1. But then there's all sorts of synths that are just wonderful, really cool. It's not just for trance, it's for all sorts of genres and applications. So a must own for everybody that owns Omnisphere, in my opinion, just because there's so many cool tricks. It's like, how do you do that? What's he doing? To go in and study them, you'll learn all sorts of really cool, beautiful things. So just one patch. Right? So it's available, it's on sale. If you already own it, log into your account. You'll see a new Unify, O2_Unify Airwave Volume 2 file to download from just logging into your account at PlugInGuru.com. And you too can now go load embedded. Let's add another pad. It's another layer of Omnisphere on another processor, so they're separate. And your computer doesn't freak out. If you try to do this inside of one Omnisphere, your computer will most certainly freak out. In very, like 2 or 3 patches, and your computer's big, because asking for all of that in one Omnisphere on one core. Here, every one of these is taking up a separate core, so it's like they're separate, they're processed independently. I could keep adding. I could add, here's 5 pads. And the processors are not freaking out at all. So, great library to play with. So that is available at our website. It's on sale with the Go Away Winter Sale. And then Mr. Simeon Ambergy here in our chat, who's got his own YouTube channel. Let's see here. He contacted me early in this week and sent me 2 unified libraries he did. He did these originally, and then I took them and finalized them and added knobs and a few other things and bonus patches and sent it back to him. This is a wonderful little library called Originals Intimate Strings. It's a separate plugin. You can, let's see here. Let me find it for you. You can find it on the Spitfire audio page. Go over here, new Spitfire audio. Here's how you find it if you go to the Spitfire audio page. You would go to products and to originals. These are all $29 originals. I unified Frozen Strings a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So that is available already unified. We haven't done the Media Toolkit or Jango Box Piano or Cinematic Pads. I already unified Mrs. Mills Piano, so that's available on the Unify page. Cimbalom is one that Simeon unified, and also down here, Intimate Strings. These are $29 plugins. It's not a library for something. It is a separate plugin that you can install. Right here it is. It has the wonderful Stark interface that either you like or you don't like. I'm not in the big fan category. Because you're really limited by how you can use these, because there's not any parameters that let you actually do much to them other than what it was supposed to do. That might be part of the compromise for it being $29. But I'd like to be able to do more with the sounds, but you can't. But they're good sounds. So what are you going to do? You have 3 different mixes, including a close, a tree, which is kind of an overhead conductor, nice stereo image. Their vintage is mono. If we were to go to one of the cool things as a bonus to Mega Magic Keys is all the special effects of record noises, say load embedded. And I actually made these playable record noises. So let's just click one of these. And now I've added record noise. Like, I like to make these really fast and short with no release. Can't do it. They do give access to release. Some layers, they give you access to a thing called tightness, which is moving the samples, start later into the samples. Don't have access to it. So you're going to have this slow attack. So you can't get that real 50s type of string sound. Still very nice. So if we go back to Intimate Strings, this is really nice in that it is a string section. There's no violas. It was violin, 1, 2, cellos and basses, but it's the whole keyboard. And then we've saved, well, Simeon saved originally the consordo, which is more sweeter, syrupy kind of a string sound. Compare that, you hear that mid warm rosin? That's not here. It has to do with where they're playing the bow on the string, on the violin or the instrument itself, changes the sound from that to that. Then flautando, and some of these might take a minute to load because I haven't loaded these into me. Very, very intimate, delicate. Half section is only part of the keyboard. If you open up the keyboard, you can see. Was it long flautando? One of these, I thought didn't play in the. All right, harmonics doesn't play in the bottom half of the keyboard. You can see if you open up the plugin. Stops right there. With the next update to Unify, we have a really cool feature coming. I can only show it to you like this right now because I'm still working on understanding how to incorporate this, but it's going to be actually really useful. Let's see, did I put... Here we go. And that is we can now add color to the keyboard to show different zones on the keyboard in a patch. So if something has a split, when you call this up and you go to the keyboard, you'll actually be able to see one range being one color, another range being another color. So you know from visually, when you look at Unify at this interface on the keyboard, I could make something where it shows from C5 up notes, and below that it's, a different color, meaning it's off, not available. So we're working on refining this. That's one of the cool things. The next update is really just a maintenance update. We found a few issues to fix, but it's a conversation I've been having with one of our producers that's working on a cinematic library that wants to be able to have zones with color so that you can see what they're going to be when you put, like, these are hits, these are cinematic booms and swishes. So we can do that with the next version of Unify. So I don't have patches ready to show you that, but I'm going to be revising the factory library. So the drum kits, you can see where kicks will be one color, snares will be another color. It's going to be really, really cool. So that is coming. And that would be able to show me when I call this up, but this only works in this range and the rest of the keyboard would be gray or something like that, right? Pizzicato, really nice pizzicatos, by the way. Now you might be going, Skippy. Well, here, let's show the short first. Then we'll do that. Short takes a second for their plugins to always load. It's not really a staccato or spiccato, more marcato, where there's more bow. But these all come for $29. Hear that sweetness in the sounds? They fade out when there's shorts, right? And then the short con legno is the... So that's what comes with intimate strings. Now, here is the longs. Just as a comparison, let's go to the chord station, to the strings, and let's do it this way. Go STR in the search, and I'm going to go down the list. There's a lot of strings, things that have STR. That didn't help very much, did it? Let's go to the longs, right click, load into new Unify layer. That's the other way of doing this, where I'm changing. I asked for, in the last update, we added a visual indicator to change. But you can always right click on a patch and you actually have more options, because you can load just layer 1 into a layer, things like that. But now we can compare between, this is BBC Symphony Orchestra. And the Intimates. Smaller section. Hear a little bit more of the unique, but because it's two recordings, two different orchestras, it's not the same orchestras, you can combine them and just come up with these wonderful, they complement each other nicely. You could have the full ensemble be something that you would automate to the dynamics and so forth. By the way, if you wanted to automate this in your DAW, all you'd have to do is set up a knob to this volume slider. So go to our macro knobs. There's a global volume, all these different things. These are all set up for the intimate strings. None of these, I don't believe, are affecting. If I check really quick on my settings, I am adding macro links right now when I add patches, which by turning on, see this preference right here, it says add macro links when loading patches. that means it will load the macro assignments of whatever the other patches are. So when I open up and I see reverb here, you'll see that it has layer 2 violin's volume also added. Typically, I don't like to do that because you get in these situations like this where I'm changing reverb on one string thing, but I'm changing violins on the other. But if you wanted to, you could double click, copy this parameter, get rid of this, and then go over to another knob and go over here to link parameters, assign just a dummy parameter of anything, and then double click and paste. And now you've moved that knob assignment of that one parameter to its own independent knob. So you won't hear that much because it's just the violins. But if I want to control the volume of the string ensemble 2 layer, all I have to do, go link parameters, give me the full range. Well, no, let's say this one, because what this says is it starts at going all the way from minimum, and the maximum value equals whatever this current knob parameter, whatever the value is, whether it's in the plugin as a parameter or here. So if I go over here to ensemble long mixed level, it sets it so that the maximum level it can go to is minus 4.5 dB, because that's what it is here. So now I have access. And if I want it to be louder, all I have to do, I can play it and listen, because it's real time. I want it to get to there. So you could do things like that, have this be like this big warm thing that comes in, but when you need to go icy and intimate, and if you want to really have fun, then you would go up here to like the brass. Let's see, let's just say brass. Not stra brass, but brass. And find the brass and say ensemble longs. Let's say open, right click, add those. So now and the down an octave, so hold down option and hit our transpose and it will automatically shift up an octave. And then if I wanted to have that on its own volume, all I have to do is go to macro 15, go to link parameters, and now it's to the brass mix volume. And then double click and say brass volume if you want, so you know the name of the volume of the knob. And this was the BBC core volume. And now if I look at my DAW, I could see that I have automatable parameters. If I hit automation for this and go to this list into Unify, go down the list and you will see brass volume. And where's the other one? BBC core volume. So I didn't name it a very good name to know what's going on. But you have access to those now that could be automatable parameters in your DAW to control the volume of those elements. So now you can take this thing that's this complex, bigger, you know, it's brass, 2 different strings, and now you can automate the mix between the 3 through your score as you're working. So that is good stuff. If I want this to be able to get louder, all you have to do is go to this page and right? So it's really, really fun to play with it that way if you want. So Intimate Strings is a wonderful $29 It's no brainer. Go to the standard library, go Pizz, P-I-Z, and there's all sorts of fun Pizzicato patches. Go load embedded. Let's add the Pizzicato Pizzicato. And because this is a Unify layer, I can double click this. I could say Pizz, if I can spell, here, and choose a different patch. This needs to go up an octave. Hold down Option or Alt, hit the transpose, and turn this down. Right? So you could, it's how you get cool, unique sounds is by layering different elements and going, is there anything inside of Zebra that has pits? Oh, look at that, there are. So since we're on load embedded, just click and and let's add boomer. Fun. So that's more of the fun stuff we can do. Now, on top of just the core library of patches, which stops right here, all these Z patches are bonus patches I made. Along with some Byte is combining the Intimate with Unify library samples. Here's just this. And here's just the Unify elements. But that Byte, when you combine it with the Intimates, gives you some Byte that's missing otherwise. Short and long, this is one that Simeon created. I changed his velocity split point just a little bit, but if you play soft, really soft, by velocity, we are switching at velocity of 60. If you want to change this, if you're like me and you play a little harder, you can bring this up even higher, like 75, and then the lower to be switch at 76. What that means is 0 to 75 velocities will play the long. When I get above 76, it changes to the so it's switching between the two like that, which is really nice. I also set up to the mod wheel. Because we have the ability with this enable that we added a couple updates ago in Unify to switch between them. And what's great with this is you can play, you can switch. It hasn't changed anything until I played new notes. And so you can switch in a unique way that you can't do in any other situation with other plugins, because it's not letting the other sound be heard or play until you give it new notes. And it doesn't cancel the other layers. So you could do this for all sorts of fun things. 4 Seasons is where I have this is one where you got to play the volumes. because they use two controls, MIDI CC, layer select and expression is really important. So you want to actually have this up for each of the 4 volumes of the 4 layers. And then when you switch, it's switching between the 4 layers based on where the modulation wheel is, which is kind of fun. 4 short stories is a similar thing. And you hear where I'm going, these BPM patches, right? Because to be able to change and do all these articulations automatically, pretty cool. And this is all based on the pattern of blue arp. So if I was to go over to the step type and turn these off, I'm changing the pattern. And because I have random and some other stuff set up, it's pretty cool. Or I could say 16th notes. So you can use the blue arp to choose the pattern you want. That it's going to cycle between these different layers using Polybox. I'm using it with this set to the chord reset. If you have just a chord, it doesn't reset. But to get more like a wave sequencing style, this is kind of in the area of wave sequencing where each time I play new notes, after a note off, it's known to restart. I could set to random, and now I never know what's going to do. Right? Dancing with Shorty. It's getting more into like, I'd like to see string players try to do this in real time. Do the pizzicato and then back to full and stuff. And then do that at 140 beats per minute. So these are fun examples of what you can do with all these different sampled articulations in Unify. So Unify and a $29 plugin and this unified library that's free gives you this. And then the something specials, there's something special. I took things a little bit farther. Nice pad. Second version has even an octave lower for the pad. Right? And then the cinematic chili pop is just taking it farther with bass and groove. Right? And if we wanted to have fun, of course, we always want to have fun. Go to Load Embedded, go to Airwave, and let's add the Escapist. So we're adding Omnisphere to this groove. And let's right-click on the high note and stop it at B because I don't want it to be in the chords. then let's go to, oh, there's some really cool drum grooves in the chill guitar phrases. It's more than chill guitar phrases. You guys all know that. Let's go to like hip and say like New York Love. And now we've added so that kind of fun stuff is all right there to play with. And then finally, the other library that was unified is the Cimbalom, which is an instrument I don't know a whole lot about. It's more of a keyboard that has this really cool they record it in a very ambient room that you can't get rid of the ambience unless you use like software to do reverb removal. They have damped, the more performance, and then sustained. Different playing styles. You'll see that both the intimate strings, frozen strings, and here you have access to the microphones inside of Unify, so you can automate all that. Right? There is sustained where it just rings out. Play all the black notes and welcome to Asia Airlines, you know? That kind of stuff. Tremolo. Back in Italy, my mama used to make a healthy pasta. And then Warped, they did a thing where they did an octave transpose. Right? So I made some bonus patches. There's the Cimbalom piano, which is combining the Cimbalom with our mellow piano that's built into Unify. Again, all you need for this to work is the Cimbalom library from Spitfire Audio and Unify. And then these patches are available to you. And then I did a BPM kind of, this should be slower. Right? Using the using Blue ARP to play just a simple patch, little arpeggiated, and then building around it some nice stuff. Okay. If you want to change the groove, all you have to do is say, get rid of this, and then we could go to Mega Magic Keys, which has a whole bunch of really cool, I put down here, where did I put them? Didn't I do some, maybe I didn't do any BPM drums for this. There are grooves and stuff on some of the BPM splits and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't do any grooves. Okay. We could just go chill guitar phrases has a lot of the chill patches for drums here. And say 808 and say load embedded and just click one. And now we have and again, since it's an embedded Unify layer, you can just open this up and choose. that way. So 4 libraries unified. We've got to start with the TX816. Let's go to that. Let's add the piano. That'd be fun to. So go over here to, I'm on load embedded. So all I have to do is say electric piano and. And then let's turn this down just a little bit so we're not quite so. Yeah, I could add strings. Off you go. So the TX816 Airwave Volume 1 has been unified. It's a masterpiece and it's available on the Go Away Winter Sale. So that's available. And then 2 unified Spitfire audio libraries, thanks to Simeon. Hey, let's do a shout out to Simeon. I'm sure he's still here. Shout out to Simeon. Thank you, Simeon, for unifying the 2 libraries, sending them to me. I could finalize them and get them available to everybody to enjoy. So that's a wonderful, cool thing we can do. So thank you. Yeah, everybody always wants to ask for features. Just realize it's a lot of work. Any feature anybody asks for is a lot of work. More to come. That's right. Simeon has told me some other things he is unifying. They are epic. And so I can't wait to share them. We'll share them with you guys and all that stuff. It's a wonderful thing. And also shout out to Zimp if he's still here, to Britt. Shout out to Britt for the TX816 library is wonderful. Yes. Yeah, everybody appreciates all that stuff. So thank you to all of you in our community. It's always a joy to visit and collaborate and share and keep sounds coming, because that's what it's all about. So thank you, Britt, for the TX816 library. That's a really, really, I mean, that took a lot of work to put together and get the mixes and everything. And it's just, you really feel that you're, oh, wait, I'm embedded. Let's go back to load patch. Yeah, I remember going into the music stores in Portland and I think even in Los Angeles at one point and playing 816 and going, oh, I wish I could play 8D. I wish I had this. What a great sound. And here it is in Unify. So and it really sounds like you're playing 8DX7s. So yes, make sure that you check out Simeon's YouTube channel. Although I will warn you, he will show you new libraries and new sample things that you're going to want to buy. So just have a credit card ready. Typically, he's not going to show something that he can't make sound good. So it's great. But thank you to all of you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Barry. I appreciate. But where do I store that patch that was created today? Okay, so the patch that was created today, it resides right now and it's recognized as a user library patch. So that means you would put it into the user library patches folder. You could put it anywhere, but no matter where you put it in whatever patches folder, it's going to show up registered as a user library patch. Somebody asked a question, and I'll point this out right now. The name of the patch here does not have to match the name of the patch in the Finder. As you can see, there's more spaces. A lot of the patches here, like the African Mallet sequence, has an underscore in the name up here in Unify, we can use slashes because it's inside of the XML file for Unify to use a slash. But if you put a slash on a file that you save to your computer, my friends, your PCs are going to hate you. It doesn't work because that's reserved for computer things. So the names of the patches do not match necessarily the names of the patches in your computer desktop because they can be two completely different names. So yeah, the downloaded file, you would go, let's do it from the top. So you'd go PlugInGuru. Oh, you're seeing my out libraries. You go to libraries, to user library, and then this is the patches folder where you would put the patches typically that I make. I make them and save them in the user library. So you could just put it in there. And that way, when you then click the little lightning bolt, it will refresh the database. It will then go through and add it if it hasn't seen it before, right? Then you can go to, it's going to take it a minute because I have so many patches and it's going to check, I think. So yes, as I showed earlier in this video, you just drag the .guru file over, or you can use under settings. There is an option right here to select a .guru file. That will also let you select a guru file, and then it will load it, and then it will do the reset and reload and refresh. So now if I go to my user library, and then I will see string-BBC core, Zebra, TX816, Nirvana. Give it a second to load because that's a lot it has to load, especially for the strings and stuff. Like the strings haven't shown up yet. Hello? Well, some of them are showing up. They were a little late for lunch. Hello, load. There you go. So, yeah, that's where you'd put it. Okay, thank you all. We'll see you next week. I have no idea what we're going to show next week, but this is how it works. Every week, new things happen. I should point out an updated version of Surge was released. I think I have the unified Surge library. I think this will work with the updated version. We'll find out. I think this is still calling up. Actually, I think I might have to look at we're going to have to tweak it because there's two versions of Surge now. If you go to where, it's called, is it Surge? Oh, Surge, right? SURGE. So I think I looked at the wrong place. It's XT is the new version. Surge Synth Team. Surge XT is the new version. I believe it's new version. I get confused. One of them is the new version because it's loaded and it's done in Juice. So I thought it was Surge. Let's go Surge. Surge? Is it just Surge? Oh, I can't tell. I thought one of them was done in Juice and you could have a little resize window here. I'm not sure. But anyway, there's a new version of Surge. It's now in Juice. They've been working on it to get it even more put together. Little bonus tidbit. So yeah, we'll stop right there. Thank you for joining. Hands together, head bowed. Enjoy sounds, make fun sounds, be creative, and we'll see you next week, okay? Oh, we want to do shout outs? It's Surge XT. Okay, Surge XT is the new version. Cool. Shout out. Hey, from Portugal, Fernando. I'm thinking of moving to Portugal. Lots of my friends are thinking of moving to Portugal right now. Shout out from... There's lots of benefits to living in Portugal, so I actually want to come visit. So that's one thing I hope. Simeon from Kentucky, of course. Liverpool. Shout out from Cleveland, Washington, D.C. Good to see you. Shout out from Mike from Holland, France. You guys are everywhere. It's a good thing. Thank you for sticking around. It's crazy. So many of you love to stick around for these whole live streams. It's wonderful. Hands together, head bowed. I will see you in a week, and have a great one, okay?